So if we go back to the plan, the first thing I need to do is the keys. So I'm going to start with frame one. I'm going to put the ball top left corner of my camera view. And then I'll go to frame 13 and put it on the ground and sort of make a guess as to where it's going to land. So I'll go back to Maya and I'll just close this grease pencil for now. And I go grab, again, the blue control, get my move tool, and I'm going to work in world space. So the way I'm switching spaces is I hold down W, which is the keyboard shortcut for move, hold down W and click. And it brings up a little menu. And then you can very easily switch between world space or object space. So depending on what's convenient, sometimes it's convenient to work in world space, other times it's convenient to work in object space. I'm going to work in world space because in world space, up is very simple. It's just this, right? So that's up. And I'm just going to move the ball up to the top over here and say that's where I'm going to start. The ball is going to start up in the top corner. Then I'm going to grab everything, make sure I'm on frame one, and I'm going to hit S. And I'm just going to lock in the first key. So all that I've done is just take the ball, move it up there, right, with just this one control. If you select everything and then try to move, you'll notice some chaos, right? So don't do that. That'll cause a lot of trouble. The only control I'm using to animate right now is the blue control. I'm just using that one control, and I just lifted the ball up and over and just put it top left corner. Then I just grabbed everything, hit S, just so that everything has a key. Then I'll deselect, and then I'll start thinking about the next step that I'm going to do. All right. So what I'm going to do right now is, for efficiency's sake, I'm going to go through and block in the keys. I've done this, frame one. So I got frame one done. Now I got to go get frame 13, got to put in the contact point. All right, so I go to frame 13, grab the blue control, and now making a guess. Where's it going to hit? Well, somewhere here, 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 somewhere. I'll just make a guess, something like that. And then I'll grab, instead of keying everything, I'm only going to key the blue control for right now. Just going to key that one thing. And if we let the computer do its work, it's going to divide everything up into nice straight lines, and it's not going to move properly, but that's okay. I can always use the comma and the period keys. When I have something selected that has keys, I can use the comma and the period keys to toggle from one key to the next. So I don't have to scrub all the way through. I can just go comma, period, and flip back and forth. Okay. You will not see keys if you don't have it selected. All right. And then you can use the comma period, right? If you don't have anything selected, the comma period keyboard shortcut doesn't work. It needs keys to jump through. But if you want another super cool keyboard trick, if you hold down Alt and then use the comma period keys, it lets you go frame by frame forward and back. So that's Alt, period, and comma. I don't know if this is actually hitting the ground. So sometimes what I'll do from this view, I'll just make sure that it's actually, sinking into the floor, just so I know that it's actually touching the ground, and then I'll go fix it later. Just, I want to make sure that it's not hovering, that it's actually contacting the ground. So there's frame one, frame 13. Then 21, I'm going to move this up. And again, I don't want it to go as high as it was before. Now let's hit S, and we can see that's too high, right? This should be a lot less. So somewhere over here. And I'm just flipping to sort of say, I'm going to hit here, over here. Maybe that should be like this. So it's going to bounce up, but it'll be a smaller bounce, right? So I'm just kind of flipping through. And I like to have auto key on. I have auto key on because what I can do is I can make a change. And you can see that when you make the change, look at that channel. You see how it turns yellow or orange for a second? And then as soon as I let go, it turns red. So it gets keyed automatically. If I don't have auto key on, if I make a change, this won't take, it won't remember. I have to hit S, and I forget to hit S a lot. So I like having auto key on, because then as soon as I make a change, it automatically keys it. And I'm just flipping, right? For me, this is just like flipping paper. I'm just flipping, going, okay, here to here, there, there, there. And then I have to go another 8 frames, which would be 29. And I want to go and hit the ground again over here, hit S. Right? So I'm just blocking in the general pattern, up, down, and then I got to go off screen. And I think I chose 4 frames for that. And that's going to be up, let's say over here. And I have to then, this is the tricky part. How do I animate this thing off screen? Because if I try and go another 4 frames to put it on the ground again, how do I work? Well, the easiest thing to do is go to panels and tear off your camera view. So now what I've done is I've taken my camera view and made it a little floating window. So I can see my camera, and then this view I can turn into a perspective view. So I can be looking at my camera and I can be working in a perspective view. So I know that I've done sort of up, down, up, down, up. Okay, I need to do another down. Move this down. So this way I can always check and see what the camera sees, and I can be in this view and tumble around and be able to select the ball. And I could go here and check and see, how much is it sort of pushing into the ground. I can be like, oh yeah, I should probably fix that. So I know there's a contact point. Let me just nudge that up. Then I go up again, hit the ground. And yeah, I'm kind of pushing a little bit too far into the geo, and then up and then down. And this one's off screen, so I don't have to worry about it. But this gives me kind of the gist of what's going to happen. And if I hit the play button, right, it's not going to look magical at all. This is going to be a big mess. And that's because the computer's just doing its automatic in-betweening, which is, not great. So I'm just going to roll back my timeline. That's all that I need. And I hit play, and it just does this. Okay. So I've got my timing, but I don't have any good spacing. Right now, it doesn't seem believable at all. It's got a lot of work. But when I just go through my keys, it makes sense. So I'm not worried, because I know what I did makes sense to me. I know I have my up, my down, up, down, up, down. It makes sense. It's exactly what I have here. So all the positions that I've circled, those I've blocked in. So I have my starting point, then 12 frames later, 8 frames later, 8 frames later, 4 frames later, and 4 frames down. So at this point, it's basically data entry. I'm just looking at my plan, and I'm just, okay, do that. I'm just going through Maya, put it there, and I'm just following the numbers, and then I'm going to be adjusting it once I'm sure that I followed my plan. Now, the other thing I can do when I'm hitting this is, or looking at this, I can look at the hits when it hits the ground. I can almost just snap my fingers if it's playing in real time, like click, 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 and just make sure the timing is changing. How does it feel? Does any part feel like it's in the air too long? Does it feel a little bit too floaty, just in terms of the beats, right? The rhythm. I could always go and adjust that. Instead of doing right click copy, right click paste, is if you use your left mouse button, it updates the scene, it plays the scene back. But if you use your middle mouse button or the scroll button and hold that down and then scrub, you'll see what happens is it doesn't play your scene anymore. It basically holds that frame. And what you can do is you just hold your middle mouse, your scroll wheel down until you get to a frame that you like, and then let go, and then hit S, and it will drop that key on that frame. So it's a much faster way to copy and paste a key.